Okay. So now, Eric, we just went through a bunch of teases in Blazer history. Like, ooh, like feels so good, all that. I texted you. Was it today or yesterday? I can't remember. But I told you that I had come across a stat that empirically showed that the Portland Trailblazers are the most heartbreaking team in the NBA. Okay.
All right.
And here's how I figured this out and researched this stat and found it. So we're obviously, you had mentioned that you wanted to talk about some of those great early 90s teams that we grew up on, right?
hmm
My favorite team, it's your favorite team. So just real quick, when you look at that team, when Rick Adelman took over the Blazers as the head coach, and when they really started winning at a high clip, they trade Sam Bowie to New Jersey, Brooklyn now, but New Jersey at the time. Bring in Buck Williams, who had been a multiple-time All-Star, great scorer, Nets
Yeah.
all-time leading scorer at the time. I don't know. He may still be their all-time leading scorer now that I think about it. Um, so when they started winning at a high clip, and of course everybody knows they went to the finals 2 out of 3 years. Sandwiched in there is my most painful loss as a Blazer fan, the 1991 Western Conference Finals to the Los Angeles Lakers. So, and I'm going to show these moments to the viewers in the episode. So stay tuned and have your tissues ready. Um, so in 1990, the Blazers lose in the NBA Finals to the Detroit Pistons. The last game that they lose is what, Eric? Game five. How did they lose in game five?
Well, they're going to run the clock all the way down. Now, everyone's on the baseline, so they're in a 1-4 set. That way, if Thomas beats his man, someone will have to pick him up. There's the pick out. Vinnie Johnson with 1 second to go. His shot is good! With 7/10 of a second. Timeout, Portland. They're not playing the guy out of bounds. They're not going to allow a long pass. 7/10 of a second. There's the shot. And the game's over, and the Pistons have won the World Championship. Back to back.
They get the ball into Terry Porter. He gets the ball in the corner. He's in three-point range. Takes the shot. The shot is off. Pistons win the title. They're back-to-back champions. Okay. The following year, 1991, how did the Blazers lose, Eric? Game 6 at the Forum against the Lakers. And how did they lose?
Drexler and Percy. Threats to drive. And his Porter. Yes, banks it in. That wasn't intended. He hoped he'd get a foul as well. 91-90. Half a minute to go. Now, Drexler's telling his team they got to have a stop one time. Just looking at the clock. 12-second difference. Magic with 4. Magic to Vlade. Blocked. But the Lakers get it back.
Shot clock violation.
No, they did not get, that's right, didn't hit the rim. So Portland gets the ball on the 24-second violation. So Portland timeout with 12.3 seconds left. The possession that could send it to Game 7.
Perkins with the long arm reaches out, and for big guys the problem is always that they're not used to this situation. Very tentative. Porter with the ball.
By Drexler. It's Porter. Not there. Rebound Johnson. He just throws it to the other end. And finally out of bounds with 1/10 of a second left. Now, if you talk about the brilliance of Magic.
Well, in this situation, Portland can only throw it to the rim and hope that somehow they can dunk it because it's not going to be a legal shot.
The Lakers go to the finals in Chicago. And they'll be led by
Okay, then now we move on to 1992. The Blazers come back. It was a long hangover. The beginning of the 91-92 season. They didn't have their mojo back. It took a while. Then they start to get things going again. They run through the West. They beat the Jazz in the Western Conference Finals, and they go back to the finals. Now they're playing the Chicago Bulls, the now defending champion Chicago Bulls that have our title, right? They have our 1991 title, like a wrestling belt that we want to take back, and we lose in six to the Bulls after, well, the shrug game, of course, in game one. By the way, that's what a lot of people just think that NBA Finals was, like that one game.
It
That is
was
not,
Michael Jordan.
that's not what
It
it
was
was.
one half, actually.
Right. It was one half. And we outscored them in the second half. Or did we? No, I don't think we did. No. They blew us out. But that series was tied at 2-2 with game five in Portland. We got blown out in game five. And then in game six, the Blazers finally played their best game of the series. I like my teams to play their best game a little before game six, but that's just me. Like, I don't know. But the Blazers are looking amazing in game six. And they're up at one point by 17 points in the third quarter, ends up being a 15-point lead after three. I will always believe, to my grave, that Phil Jackson, like, turned the lights out on that game. He started the fourth quarter with Scottie Pippen and four bench players. And lo and behold, Eric, they get a couple of three-point shots from bench players like Bobby Hansen, and they end up getting back in the game. The Blazers start turning the ball over, and then it becomes a game. They reinsert Michael Jordan back in the game, who had been put on the bench by Phil Jackson. And when Michael came back in the game, kind of took over. Blazers got some questionable calls. You're in Chicago. And then
Well, also,
go ahead.
we had Phil Jackson, saying that Portland, that was earlier in the season, but,
Well, yeah.
when he said that
Yeah.
Portland
Basically
would
said we're stupid.
pucker up when the pressure got on them.
Yeah,
so
basically, yeah.
basically chokers.
Yeah, he basically used the R word to describe us. So it was pretty bad. And of course, like, we were ready to prove him wrong. Or not.
Chicago 96, Portland 93. The Blazers do not have any timeouts left.
Portland placing two players down the floor to try and get a quick hurry-up offense going after this free throw.
4-point Chicago lead. Drexler was checking, thought there might have been a timeout remaining. Here's Kelsey for three. Paxson with the rebound. Time running down. The Chicago Bulls have won the NBA championship for the second straight season.
So we lose by 4. So we've now lost by 2. We've lost by 1. And now we've lost by 4 in 3 straight elimination games. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So in the games where we got eliminated, we've lost by 2, we've lost by 1, and we've lost by 4. Move to 19...
In consecutive seasons.
Yes. Now we move to 1993, so the 92-93 season. A season that I had told you that I kind of wanted to be on the tease list, because the 1992-93 season, we lost Danny Ainge in free agency. He went to the Phoenix Suns, but we signed Mario Elie, and we signed Rod Strickland to those teams. And Rod Strickland, it was thought that he was going to become a third guard, but he actually ended up leading the team in assists. Drexler had a lot of trouble with his knee that year. He only played 49 games. The Blazers were only 2 games out of second place in the Western Conference by the time they go to the All-Star break. But around the All-Star break, and we can kind of gloss through this quickly. Maybe we'll talk about this bigger in the future. But the Blazers had this incident in Salt Lake City where some players were kind of hanging out at the mall and talking to some young girls, and it became like a scandal, and everybody in the NBA like kind of like jumped to a lot of conclusions. And you were living there, I wasn't, so I'm kind of fuzzy on exactly what happened back then, because being in West Virginia in 1993, like we weren't getting a lot of Blazer details. Um,
Hmm.
but that,
No, well, they tried to sweep that under the rug too. Like
yeah, but
they
the
didn't let a lot
team,
of details come.
but the team immediately like lost four straight at home. They lost five out of six, and the wheels kind of came off that season. Now they rebounded a little bit as the season concluded. They won 51 games, pretty admirable when you consider Clyde was out for 33 games, uh,
Mhm.
and still were a team that people considered really dangerous. They had the San Antonio Spurs in the first round as a 4-5 matchup. The Blazers had home court, and the Blazers were predicted by most people to win that series against the Spurs. They lost a heartbreaking game one. Drexler did not play in game one. He was so hurt. He ended up coming back for the rest of the series, games 2, 3, and 4. This was now a best of 5 series before they all went to best of 7 in the first round. Long story short, the Blazers end up losing that series 3-1 in the decisive, say it with me, Eric, elimination game. They ended up losing that game by 3 points.
Drexler lost it. Cliff Robinson. No good. Porter at the buzzer for three. No good. It's all over.
So now, 4 straight years, we have lost by 2, we have lost by 1, we have lost by 4, and we have lost by 3. Go to the 93-94 season for the Blazers. The Blazers go 47-35. Clyde again misses a lot of games. He's healthier than he was in the season before, but he still misses quite a few games. The Blazers in that offseason had signed Chris Dudley, who Chris Dudley was like one of the first players. I don't know if you remember this, Eric, but he was one of the first players that like really benefited from the rebounds, blocks per minute metric, because he was a bench player for New Jersey, but his per 36 was like off the charts. Like he was going to average you like 20 rebounds a game if he played 36 minutes. Problem was, Chris Dudley could never stay on the floor because he couldn't shoot free throws and he wasn't an offensive weapon at all. But a lot of people at that time, including myself, felt like after having Duckworth in the middle for so long, that maybe what the Blazers really needed in the middle was just somebody to rebound and block shots and kick the ball out to their offensive players. They had gone and gotten Harvey Grant from the Washington Bullets, Jeremy's dad, as we always say. And Harvey Grant was great with the Bullets. He was 18 points a game. He came to the Blazers and averaged 9. So Harvey,
They did give birth to or not him, but him
what's that?
and his woman. I don't know if it was his wife or not, but his whoever he was with did give birth to Jeremy while
Yes,
they were here.
yes. I mean, good things. Yes. But, I don't know if it should cost you half your offensive output. But that's neither here nor there. But I loved Harvey Grant. I always believed in Harvey Grant. I was so stoked when we got Harvey Grant. That was one of the big teases for me that I told you that offseason, getting Chris Dudley and Harvey Grant. And of course, Dudley broke his ankle in like the second or third game of the season at the Lakers, and basically missed 76 games that year with a broken ankle. So that
Did you
season,
know? Did you hear he's running for mayor again?
yeah,
Or not mayor, governor. Yeah,
I heard that he's ready for mayor again.
governor.
So,
Governor. Yeah.
so, so again, Blazers are 47-35, a terrible record. However, the following season, the Houston Rockets did go 47-35 and won the title. So now that's a little different because they had this guy in the middle, the Hakeem something, who was really good. Hakeem Olajuwon. And but so the 93-94 Blazers, they played the Rockets, who ended up going on to win the title. They played the Rockets in the first round, and in game 4, they were down 2-1 in a best of 5. And in that elimination game, Eric,
They've got a chance. Remember, no timeout, so they got to rush it up length of the floor. You saw Adelman going push it. Whatever you do, you don't let Strickland get the ball if you miss it. You keep the ball out of his hands. You can't let him get a 3 off. I'd foul right now. He's going to let him get a 3. The 3 on the way for the tie. Oh, my, hits the front of the rim. And the Houston Rockets advance to round number 2 against Phoenix. The final 92-89.
so in a 5-year stretch, the Blazers lost 5 elimination games by 13 points. I looked this up. I did the work. And by I did the work, I mean AI did the work. But I did the work. It is the quote-unquote greatest, if we want to call it that, the greatest stretch of elimination games for a team in terms of the point differential. The next closest is those Utah Jazz teams of the late 90s, and in a 5-year stretch, they got eliminated by a total of 20 points. So ours is 13. They are like 7 points beyond that. But in a 5-year stretch, no team in NBA history has ever had such a low margin. Because normally when you're a team, and especially if you're a team that's like knocking at the door and you're trying to bust through, eventually you're going to get your doors blown off at some point. There's going to be some game 7 massive blowout or something like that. And we never had that. And no team in NBA history, and I looked this up too, even when you consider the champions, when you consider the Showtime Lakers, when you consider the Boston Celtics with Larry Bird, when you consider whether it's the Golden State Warriors, the Cleveland Cavaliers that won with LeBron, like all of these teams, even if you factor in a break for a championship, okay, and you just look at like five years of being eliminated, it doesn't even have to be consecutive years. It can be broken up with a championship. But even then, there is no 5-year stretch of a team getting eliminated in which the point differential was that low. So statistically speaking, no team in the playoffs over that stretch of time has ever ripped the guts out of their fan base like the Portland Trailblazers. I will let you try to come up with some kind of rebuttal for this statistic, but you cannot. It is airtight.
I mean, I guess it occurred to me that we lost close games, but to put it that way is pretty jarring. Yeah, and it's one of those lists where you're like, yeah, that's right. They are one of the best teams to never win a championship, the early 90s teams. But
Yeah.
It still sucks that they're on that list, right? Like,
Let me ask you a quick question. Do you ever get a little miffed at the fact that people will bring up the Kings, the Weber Sacramento Kings and the Utah Jazz, and it seems like we have been leapfrogged by those two teams in particular in terms of like greatest teams to never win a title?
yeah, I mean, the Jazz made the finals twice, lost to Jordan both times. I mean, I understand that. They were good for a long time. I can see the comparisons there between that team and the Blazers. The Kings one though, like they get loved because of a rigged game against the Lakers, right? But who knows if they win the title that year? I mean, we'll always come back to this being the greatest tease. I think and it's part of your stat. Well, I guess this game. Well, yeah, it was this game. I think the greatest tease in Blazer history to me is getting that steal and going on the break in Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals.
Against Buck Williams. There's the double team. Here's the open man. The 4. Stolen by Drexler. It's a one-point game. 23 for Clyde.
Mistake is the thing that we told you the Lakers didn't want to make, and they left that pass out there.
Magic with exactly 1 minute to go and another turnover. Porter to Kersey, and Robinson loses the ball on a 3-on-1. Oh my! Timeout, Los Angeles. Portland had the lead on Cliff Robinson's fingertips. And this steal that pulled the Blazers within 1.
And it was the will of Drexler not to give up when it looked like the Trailblazers might not have a chance to get a score. They make a steal, and then they make another steal, and it looks like this is a dead bunny for Cliff Robinson, and he miscues, and it goes out of bounds. The reaction on the bench, and you can imagine what it's like in Portland right now.
As they stole the ball over going down, it's like, oh my God, they're gonna do it. They're gonna win this game, and
Well, it was also coming off the heels of an amazing steal by Drexler,
yeah,
in which James
just that whole
Worthy,
sequence, yeah.
James Worthy just threw the ball right to him. Quite frankly, Drexler comes down, steals the ball, and so they were down 3. So Drexler steals the ball, cuts it to 1, and then they come right back down, and then they get another steal. I mean, it was very typical of that season, the 90-91 season. It was very typical of that Blazer team to generate offense with their defense. They were so good defensively, and like we had seen that play converted a million times during that season, and like for it to not go our way in that moment, I'll never forget it. Well, maybe I will forget it, but that's not my fault. But but for right now, I still remember it. Um, it was brutal, and the game wasn't even over yet. I mean, we're still down 1. Lakers come down, get 2 free throws. Terry Porter banks in a 2-point shot. The Blazers play again, amazing defense, get a 24-second shot clock violation, and then they set up the play for Terry Porter that I talked about earlier. So yeah, I mean, when you think about like everything kind of lining up for you, they had home court advantage throughout the entire playoffs. They were going to play the Chicago Bulls that year. You're playing a Chicago Bulls team that had never been to the finals before. So you're actually going to be the team that has some finals experience over the Bulls. Um, like I said before, you would have had home court advantage. I mean, if there was ever a year that the Blazers were going to break through with that group and win the title, like it was right there for them. And bounce of the ball and things like that. And that, again, I mean, going back to the stat, like to lose 5 elimination games by 13 points in 5 years, I would also say that it really speaks to a lot of the character of that group of guys. And one of the reasons why I know for myself, and I'm sure for you as well, why we love that group of guys. I mean, they weren't the best shooting team. They weren't the best shooters in the league, even though Terry Porter was regarded as one of the best shooters in the game. But just when it came to like moxie and heart and hustle and effort, in particular, when you're talking about guys like Buck Williams, Jerome Kersey, the fact that to eliminate them in the playoffs 5 years in a row, I mean, you basically had to scratch and claw and do everything that you could to kill them. basically, is kind of something admirable to look at.